record this. Example. What's the weather? What's the weather today? So let's go back to, okay. Well, what's the weather like? Okay. Let's try. Okay. What's the weather like? It's raining. I will put my mouse here and you will answer me. It's raining, teacher. Okay. I'm inside the house. I don't know what's the weather outside. So I will ask you one by one. Okay. Piglet, what's the weather like?
It's raining.
Very good. Dragon,
Wind.
wait. Okay, thank you. Dragon, what's the weather like?
It's windy.
Very good. Tiger, what is the weather like? Or what's the weather like?
It's snowing.
Okay, snowing. Eagle, what's the weather like?
It's sunny.
Okay. Sun An, what's the weather like?
It's snowing.
This one, what's the weather like?
Hot.
It's hot. Yes. You see, you can answer now. What's the weather like? Now you can answer. What do you feel outside? It's hot. Okay. Now you ask question to your classmate. What's the weather like? Can you answer? Can you say that, Piglet? What's the weather like? What's the weather like? Piglet, say it. What's the weather like?
What's
The
the
weather like.
weather like?
Again, what's the weather like?
What the weather like?
Again, weather.
Weather.
What's the weather like?
What's the weather like?
Weather. Weather like.
Weather
Again.
like?
Okay. Dragon, answer. It's.
It's snowing.
Okay, now it's your turn, Dragon. What's the weather like? You say, what's the weather like? What's. Dragon, say. Mhm.
What's the weather like?
Okay, answer, Tiger. It's.
It's hot.
Okay, now your turn, Tiger. What's the weather like?
What's the
Weather. Again, what's the weather like?
what what the weather like?
Eagle, answer. It's.
It's sunny.
Okay, now Eagle, your turn.
What's
What's.
the weather like?
Sun An? It's.
It's hot.
Very good. Now Sun An, say, what's the weather like?
It is.
What's. You start with
What?
what's the weather like?
What's the weather like?
Piglet. It.
It's windy.
Okay, now you're practicing. Next meeting, you will ask again and say the name. Like example, again, no? We are doing this every time we have speaking activities. Like say the name, like Tiger, what's the weather like? Piglet, if I'm Piglet, I'm teacher. Okay. Tiger, what's the weather like? Then you will answer, Tiger will answer, teacher, it's sunny. Okay. So you will mention the name. You will say the name. So you are talking. Because if there's no name, you don't say the name, I don't know who are you talking. I don't know if you're talking to me or you're talking to Tiger or anybody. So, okay, give the name, say the name, and then answer with the name also. Example again. Example, Dragon, what's the weather today? Or the weather like? And you will say, Dragon will say, teacher, it's hot. Okay, so we are talking. Dragon and me are talking. So you will talk to each other because you will say the name of your student, of the student. Okay? Okay, so we have here, okay, so next meeting. Bakit nag-stop? Okay, so next meeting we will continue. The internet stop. So next meeting we will continue again. Okay, good night everyone. Good night everyone. Goodbye.
See you again.
Okay.
Bye, teacher.
Goodbye. Good night everyone.